welcome to Pretzel Day. Today I'm going to show you how to make soft pretzels.
Productivity is important, but how can I be productive if I have this one little thing in my brain that I cannot get out? And that one little thing is a soft pretzel. So I'm just going to have my soft pretzel, I'll get to work, and I'm going to be super productive. Look out for me!
I wake up every morning in a bed that's too small, drive my daughter to a school that's too expensive, and then I go to work to a job for which I get paid too little. But on Pretzel Day, well, I like Pretzel Day.
So, to get started with yeast dough, which a soft pretzel is made from, you need a package of yeast, which is 2 1/4 teaspoons of dry active yeast. You need a cup of warm water, about 100 to 110 degrees. You want it warm enough to activate the yeast, but not so hot that it will kill it. And you need about a teaspoon of sugar because the yeast like to eat the sugar in the warm water, and it causes carbon dioxide bubbles to make the yeast activate. I should say causes carbon dioxide bubbles so that the dough will rise. It is our leavening agent. So we're just going to stir that around to get it to dissolve, and then we're going to let this sit here for about 10 minutes, and then we will come back and see the difference in the way that the mixture looks. All right, so my yeast mixture has been sitting for 10 minutes, and if you can look at this, this is what it should look like. Nice and bubbly, frothy, foamy, whatever you want to call it. Now, if you are making any kind of a yeast bread, you really want to have time to do it right. Yeast bread takes a long time. Unlike quick breads, the name quick bread implies that it takes a very short amount of time, but yeast breads are going to take a while. So most yeast breads take about an hour or more to make if you're using fast rising yeast, but we are actually using just regular active yeast, so it's going to take a little bit longer. It's going to take at least an hour just to be able to rise in what we call proof. So I've got my yeast mixture, and I'm just going to add that to a mixing bowl. I'm going to use my stand mixer to knead this. To this, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of cooking oil. All right, just give that a stir here. And we are ready to put this on the stand mixer. Now, you see I have my hook. You can also do this by hand, no problem. It just may take a little bit more strength to do that. So to this, I'm going to start by slowly adding in 3 cups of flour, a small amount at a time. And then I'm going to put that on a low speed to start with. Now, I do not want to add too much flour, so that's why I am going to add this slowly. I want it to be a soft dough, and if I need to, I can always add more flour, but I can't take flour out. Turn up the speed just a little bit. All right. Just going to keep adding that flour, just a little bit at a time. Now, once the dough has pulled away from the sides of the bowl, if you're doing this in a hand mixer, you want to make sure that you are letting this knead for just a couple of minutes, and then I like to finish my dough off by hand on the counter and knead it the rest of the way like that. All right, so I'm just going to take my dough now from the hook, and I'm going to put a little bit of flour down. See, I didn't use all of the flour, all of the 3 cups, but I might use it now. It just depends. So on a clean surface, put a little bit of flour down, and then take your dough and put it onto your floured surface. All right. Now, I'm just going to take my dough and I'm going to knead that into the flour. I like to work with a pretty soft dough when I'm making pretzels. So I do not want it really sticky and sticking to my hands, but I also do not want it so rubbery and elasticy that that when I try to roll these out here in a minute, that they just kind of shrink up on me. All right, this is a nice, soft, good dough. I like the way this feels, and if you like the way it feels, it comes into a ball pretty nicely like this, and it's not sticking to your hands, then that's what you want, okay? So now, what we're gonna do is take this and put it into a large mixing bowl. I have lightly oiled this. I'm gonna put this down in here and then kind of cover it to coat it with the oil because we don't want our dough to dry out on us. And then I'm going to take a towel and just cover this up. And we're gonna let this sit here for about an hour. Alternatively, you could make this ahead of time, like the night before, and put this in the refrigerator for up to 24 hours and in like a large Ziploc bag or a large bowl as well, and just leave that sitting in the refrigerator. If you're going to be making it the same day, I would definitely recommend that you don't do a cold rise, that you actually do the warm rise like this, just at either room temperature, or if you've got a proofer, that would work well too. So I'll see you in about an hour. All right, so we're back. The dough has had a chance to rise, and as you see, it has at least doubled in size from what it was. So now what I'm going to do is just take this dough and turn it out onto a lightly floured surface. All right. All right, now I'm going to add just a little bit of flour. Okay, this is going to be really a good dough to work with. You see that it's not sticking to my fingers, okay? But it's really nice and soft. Okay, so what I want to do is to get this into about 6 to 8 equal parts. I kind of want our pretzels to be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to do 6 equal parts. All right, so I'm gonna take this and put it back into a ball. And I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to cut this in half. Now I'm eyeballing it. You could weigh this out if you want to, but I'm not going to. All right, and then since we want 6, then I'm going to take and put these into thirds. And we're just gonna hope that these are approximately even. You always want, when you are cooking, you want everything to be really consistent in size and shape, because if you don't, then it will not bake evenly or cook evenly. All right, so what I'm gonna do is kind of ball these up. And if one looks bigger than the other, I'm just gonna take some dough out from one and put it on another. And see, this one looks kind of big, so I'm gonna take it and put it on this one that's a little bit smaller. That one's a little bit small, so I'm gonna take this, add that. Okay, now we are going to make some ropes out of this dough. So when you're ready to shape this, what we're gonna do is just roll this into kind of a snake or a rope shape. And what you can do is just take this with the kind of the palm of your hands and pull back and press like that. And then just keep going until it's a very long snake. All right, and this will probably be about I'd say 18 to 20 inches long, depending on how many pretzels you're making. If you're making fewer pretzels, then it probably will not be as long. So when it's the size that you want it, then we're going to shape this, all right? So what you're gonna do is take it and kind of make a U out of it, kind of a horseshoe shape. And then you're going to cross. Then you're going to cross again, okay? And then you're gonna take it and pull it up, just like that. So now it looks like a pretzel. And we're gonna take some water just on the tip of your finger, and you're going to stick down these little pieces here to the dough. That'll make it stick better. All right, and then you're gonna put this to the side and roll out the rest of them just the same.
Let's go.
All right, so Eli helped me shape the rest of my pretzels here, and I've got them on a foil-lined pan that is sprayed with oil. And I am going to now boil these. So a traditional pretzel you're going to boil in a baking soda bath. So I've got a 1/3 cup of baking soda. I'm adding that to, there we go. Turn it down just a little bit. All right. So add that to 8 cups of water. And then I'm going to give this a little stir to get it nice and dissolved. All right. Now, we do not want these to fall apart as they're in the water. So I'm turning this down to just a simmer. All right. And now I also have a slotted spatula. You could use a slotted spoon. You could probably use some tongs, whatever works best for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this top down into the baking soda water and count about 30 seconds. And then we're going to flip it over to the other side. If you put it face down, then when you flip it, then it's going to be the right side up to put back on your baking sheet. All right, and when that has simmered for about 30 seconds, then you're just going to take your slotted spatula and you're just going to give it a little flip. Take it and just flip it. All right, and then once it has simmered for about 30 seconds on that side, then we're going to take them and put them back on our baking sheet. And we're going to do that to all of them. I like to do it about 2 at a time. That's about how much room my pan has. All right. And you see they kind of puff up. All right, so now those are ready for baking. I'm going to do that to the rest of them. All right, so we have finished simmering the rest of the pretzels in the baking soda bath. And here they are. Here's what they look like. Eli, stop making faces at me. All right, that's what they look like. I think we did a pretty good job rolling those out, Eli, don't you think? All right, so high five. Okay. So now what we're going to do is top them. Now you could just put these straight in the oven at 400 and bake them for about 8 to 10 minutes until they are golden brown and finished in the middle. Or you can go ahead and top them before you put them in, especially if you're wanting to add something like salt, or you want to add some other kind of like sesame seeds or something like that. If you're wanting a more sweet pretzel, then you could just kind of brush some butter on and roll it in some cinnamon and sugar. Or, but we are going to actually make, do you want to do a couple of them in cinnamon sugar, Eli? Okay, we'll save a couple of them for cinnamon and sugar, and we will make 4 of them for pizza pretzels. One of my students, Jacqueline, when I was talking about making these, and we didn't get to make these this year because we've had the coronavirus and we're out of school, and that's why I'm making these videos to show my students. She suggested she wanted some savory pretzels, and so she was like, what about pizza pretzels? And I said, I don't know, I've never made them before, so we're gonna try to make some pizza pretzels. All right, so what we're gonna do is take some shredded mozzarella cheese, and we are going to go ahead and top some of these pretzels with this shredded mozzarella cheese. We'll see how these do. I've never made savory pretzels like this before, so that's pretty exciting to try something new, and we'll see if they turn out. Sometimes experimentation works out really well, and sometimes it does not. So, all right, so I've got some mozzarella cheese on there, and because most people like pepperoni pizza, you know, I kind of like things with mushrooms and olives and that kind of thing, but I know kids tend to like pepperonis, except for my son, who likes to eat pepperoni plain, not on a pizza. He just likes extra cheese, so I'm probably just gonna make 1 cheese one for him. So I'm gonna take some, the only thing I could find were these big ones, but you could get some little mini pepperonis, and that would probably actually work out better. So I'm just gonna put these on here, and hopefully these bake well. And then I'm gonna leave 1 with just cheese. We'll put some extra cheese on anyway. All right, now I'm gonna put some extra cheese on there just for good measure. Why not? Pizza pretzels. And then I've got some marinara sauce too that we can get out for dipping to make it a true pizza pretzel. Okay, so now the other 2 I'm going to save for putting butter and cinnamon and sugar on it here in a minute after they bake. All right, so I'm gonna put these in the oven at 400 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes.
One go.
All right, my timer is going off. They ended up taking about 10 minutes. They weren't quite done after 8. Taking these out. Oh my goodness, these look scrumptious. Beautiful. And look at that, so soft, but browned on the outside. I think these are gonna be great. Okay, so for the savory pretzels, I'm just gonna serve this with a side of marinara. So I've got my marinara there, and I'm just gonna take one of these bad boys off. Probably should have left my oven mitt on. With the cheese, they're not quite sliding off as easily as they usually do. Oh, I love crispy cheese. Come on there, big boy. Yep, talking to you, pretzel. All right, and there we go. Beautiful. All right, now we're gonna take this one up here, put it on the plate. We're gonna brush it with a little bit of melted butter. Oh, this is gonna be so good. And then we're gonna sprinkle this with a little bit of cinnamon and sugar. Push this off. All right, so I've got some cinnamon and sugar already mixed up here. Just sprinkle that on. Eli said we may never have to go to a pretzel store in the mall again. All right. And there's our cinnamon and sugar pretzel. And so you could make a whole tray of these, and then and you could even dip them in the cinnamon and sugar, and that would be delicious. A wonderful snack for you to have, and something to do when you get bored, because these ingredients, if you've got yeast on hand, then the rest of the ingredients usually you will have in your kitchen as well. And if you do not have any yeast, it's pretty inexpensive at the store. All you have to do is get the little packages that come in a group of 3, or you can buy a whole jar. And remember that 2 1/4 teaspoons is the same as 1 package of yeast. All right, I hope that you enjoy making these at home if you do, and let me know what you think about it. Like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.